The chameleon who couldn't escape the cage. Jorge Martin's 2025 meltdown, U-turn, and the Aprilia grip that broke his pride. There's a saying in the paddock, a chameleon changes to survive, but sometimes it changes so much it forgets what it was. Jorge Martín spent the first half of 2025 proving that line true. This is the reigning world champion, the man who tore 2024 apart with Pramac Ducati, swaggered into Aprilia like he was untouchable, and within 6 months found himself kneeling before the very people he'd been plotting to leave. It wasn't some gentle soul-searching moment. This wasn't peacemaking over coffee and croissants. Aprilia didn't just win him back, they broke him. And the more you peel this story apart, the more brutal the questions get. How did the champion who had every card to play end up cornered like a rookie begging for a ride? Why did Aprilia fight harder to keep him than he fought to leave? And when the mask came off, did we finally see Jorge Martín, or just another rider dressing survival up as loyalty? From golden move to ashes before the first lap. When Martín inked that 2-year Aprilia deal for 2025-2026, it was supposed to be his masterstroke. A rider at his peak, ditching Ducati's political circus for the underdog with bite. Aprilia was on the rise, the RSGP had teeth, and Marco Bezzecchi's arrival alongside him looked like a pure fire lineup. But ambition doesn't care about your timing. Preseason came, and the chameleon didn't get to change colors. He got smashed into the asphalt. Sepang, high side from hell, broken finger, fractured foot, collapsed lung. He went from training like a beast to breathing through tubes. No preseason rhythm, no adaptation to the Aprilia, no chemistry with his crew. He missed the first 5 rounds entirely. And here's the cruel reality. MotoGP doesn't pause for your recovery. The circus kept moving. Bezzecchi started cashing podiums. Rivals racked up points, and the reigning champion became a trackside ghost, watching his throne gather dust. Hashtag the exit clause that turned into a guillotine. Here's where the whole thing gets twisted. When Martín signed with Aprilia, his manager Albert Valera slipped in a performance-based exit clause. In plain English, if Jorge wasn't in a certain championship position by the Le Mans round, he could walk for 2026. Safety net, insurance policy, a way to keep his options open. But when your first 5 races are spent at home watching on TV, you're not just failing the clause, you're nuking it before it even starts. Aprilia's take? The contract was clear. You stay until the end of 2026. No exceptions. Valera's take? He's still free because the injuries made the performance metric meaningless. That's when the PR war began. Aprilia CEO Massimo Rivola didn't blink. He went public, he went legal, and he made it clear Jorge Martín was not walking away. Meanwhile, Honda's name started floating around. The media smelled blood. Fans saw a champion trying to run from the fight before he'd even had one. And here's the question nobody wanted to say out loud. Was this about a bad bike, or was it about Jorge Martín realizing Aprilia wasn't going to bend to him like Ducati did? Brno, the day the chameleon changed again. Fast forward to the Czech GP at Brno, Martin's big return. Everyone's expecting a parting shot. Maybe a pointed "we'll see what happens next year" or a sly nod toward Honda. Instead, plot twist. Days before Brno, he tested privately at Misano, and for the first time since his contract ink dried, he felt what a fit, in-form Aprilia RSGP could do. This wasn't the rattling, inconsistent beast he'd feared. This was a podium-capable, race-winning bike, proven by Bezzecchi's Silverstone win and podium streak. Brno press conference. Martín drops the bomb. He's staying. 2026 confirmed. Just like that, the exit clause war was dead. And make no mistake, this wasn't love for the project winning out. This was survival instinct kicking in. The chameleon realized the green patch he was about to leap to, Honda, was actually a swamp. The public face versus the private truth. Martín wrapped his U-turn in philosophy. In a DAZN interview, he said, "The financial aspect will obviously always be there, but it's not something that moves me. I've always tried to find the best sporting option. When you get results, the financial aspect will follow." Sounds noble. Almost poetic, but let's cut through the script. If it was purely about sporting option, why was the exit clause there in the first place? Why was Honda even in the conversation? Why did the narrative only shift after Bezzecchi's podiums and a decent private test? Because here's the brutal truth. Loyalty in MotoGP is a performance-based currency. The second you believe your package isn't title-worthy, you look for a lifeboat. Martin's U-turn didn't come from some epiphany about Aprilia's soul. It came because the lifeboat he wanted was full of holes, and the ship he was on had just started gunning for the front. Aprilia's power play. Let's not pretend Aprilia were passive in this. Rivola played it like a street fight. Legal threats, PR pressure, leveraging Bezzecchi's success to make Jorge look like the problem, not the package. Every round Jorge missed, Aprilia got stronger without him, and that flipped the leverage completely. By Brno, Martin's position had gone from "I can walk if I want" to "I need to be part of this before they decide they don't need me." And that's where the kneeling comes in. Because in 2024, Martin held all the cards with Ducati and Pramac. In 2025, Aprilia held all the cards with him. The road ahead or the tightrope? Martin leaves Brno with a 7th place and a contract in his pocket, but contracts don't win you respect. Numbers do, and right now the scoreboard doesn't just whisper, it screams. 9 points from half a season for the reigning world champion. That's not a slump, that's a collapse. If he wants some respect, which was gone overnight, the same respect he earned with blood and sweat over all these years, it's not coming back through interviews or social media statements. It's not easy to make teams come crawling back once they've seen you hesitate, once they've smelled doubt on you. MotoGP is not sentimental. It remembers victories for a moment, but it remembers weakness forever. Right now, every team boss watching knows 2 things. 1, he tried to leave before he'd even settled in. 2, Bezzecchi is doing the job he was supposed to be doing. That's the real mountain. Not points, not podiums, reputation. That's the currency he's running out of. The best option? Stop explaining why. Stop defending the U-turn. Stop giving context to the clause, the injuries, the decision to stay. The more he talks, the more the narrative feels like damage control. And when a rider is seen as justifying himself, he's already lost the perception war. The only way out is to bury all that noise under lap times. Drop the visor and silence every question with a stopwatch. If the RSGP really is as sharp as Bezzecchi makes it look, then Martin needs to ride it like a man possessed, not like someone proving a point, but like someone reclaiming a crown. Because here's the danger. If he spends the second half of 2025 chasing explanations instead of results, he'll walk into 2026 as just another ex-champion hanging around the top 10. And if that happens, Aprilia's fight to keep him will start to look less like a win and more like a mistake. The road ahead is a tightrope. One slip, one lazy weekend, and he's no longer the chameleon changing to survive. He's just another rider fading into the background while the sport moves on without him.